Hi everyone. Everyone knows such characters as Jax or Pomni, but few of you know the history of these characters that once inhabited us Amazing Digital Circus. But in this video, we will take apart absolutely every character, give him a name, and tell you why he disappeared from our circus. But before the video, do not forget to subscribe to the channel, put a like, and write a comment. And let's start our story. At first, I will tell about less important characters of the past, and then I will raise the level and move to more and more amazing stories. The first character who is no longer in our circus is this clown. It's actually very hard to see who's in there, but my intuition and a little bit of research tells me it's a clown. Let's call him Edie, and you'll see why. The strange skull shape, red eyes, and orange hair of this character remind me a lot of a famous clown. Maybe it's a reference, but why is he missing? I have said many times in previous videos that any character resembling a clown, be it a clown, a jester, or a harlequin, is the leading actor of any circus, and our Amazing Digital Circus is no exception. It seems to me that the intimidating appearance was the main reason why no one wanted to communicate with this character. And as we know, it is loneliness that makes you think about scary things and realize the reality of what happens in this circus. That's why IT started to go crazy, which made him more and more withdrawn every day, which was the reason for his disappearance. If we have already touched on characters who are clowns, then the same must be said about this guy. This clown most likely became the next character after IT. I'll call him Clalo. I hope you can see why. The first thing you notice is his smile. Although I wouldn't call it a smile, I mean you can tell he's very sad. Both his smile and his eyes tell you that. In my opinion, this was the saddest character in the entire history of Amazing Digital Circus. And he's also directly related to another character that you and I already know and even saw in the pilot episode. It's not hard to guess why this clown disappeared from the circus, because you can see from his expression that he's not happy to be here, and that's a direct way to turn into a monster. But who is he connected to? I think the answer was obvious to everyone because his color and shape are very reminiscent of Kaufmo. I think Clalo was Kaufmo's older brother, or maybe his father, and he was the one who told Kaufmo that there was a way out and that it was possible to get out of this damn circus. But his failed attempts to get out made him so sad that he went crazy like everyone else, and then came the outcome that awaits every such character: dissipation. Kaufmo also desperately searched for a way out, telling everyone about it, but as we know from the pilot episode, all his attempts were unsuccessful. The last character in this category is the Fool, who we will call Tilly. The strangest thing I noticed about this character is his eyes. If you look closely, you can see that they are crossed out. I don't know exactly what that means, but I can assume that the person who joined the circus in the future was blind. But why he was wearing a VR helmet was a mystery to me until I drew a parallel. We've established that the previous characters are related, but who is Tilly related to? As I said, he is a jester. Much like the main character of the circus now, Pomni. Maybe Tilly was a friend of Pomni's, and at some point decided to try on a VR helmet, after which the ego was transported to the Amazing Digital Circus. But this is all just a crazy theory that you can either believe or deny. That's kind of the end of the clowns and stuff, and we're moving on to the other characters. Across from Tilly's room is another crossed-out porter with a pink monster named Pinkin on it. He was apparently a very positive character, and you can easily see that by looking at his smile, which goes all the way up to his ears. But the real horror of it all is that Pinkin was one of the few characters who was a child. In fact, if you look at the pictures of absolutely all the characters, you can safely say that almost all of them are associated with really adult pursuits, like dramatic theater or chess, and our Pinkin is just a regular fun child's toy. It makes me very sad, to be honest. And the reason for his dissipation is very simple. Being a child, it was very hard for him to cope with all this, because even adult Pomni, having seen everything that can be seen in this circus, still cannot accept the fact that all this is a reality and what can be said about an ordinary child. We all know Jax, who is currently the only animal in the circus, but before him, there were two other characters who also represented different animals. One of these characters is Dego the dog. At first glance, he looks like nothing out of the ordinary, but if you take a closer look, you will notice that his smile hides very sad eyes. I was also puzzled by the fact that Dego's eyes have the same blush as Pomni's. All this suggests that Dego, like Tilly, was a friend of Pomni's in the past, and that they all used the same VR helmet that transferred their consciousness to the digital circus. But I'd like to tell you more about another character who was an animal, a bird to be exact. I would call her Freie. Most likely she was a girl who was connected to Jax before she entered the digital circus. If you look at her face, you can say that she was a bit crazy, and just like Jax, she only put herself in the foreground. She also behaved like our rabbit, but that's what made her disappear, unlike Jax. Let me explain. Girls are often more emotionally unstable than boys, and Freie's defensive reaction was just the very bullying and hurtful jokes about other characters. But unlike Jax, Freie didn't have the strength to deal with it for long, because if Jax doesn't care even if they stop communicating with him, Freie couldn't accept it and, like all missing people, started going a little crazy, which led to her disintegrating and turning into a monster. Probably the strangest character is the sock. Yes, you heard right, an ordinary sock. But judging by the fact that it has a red bow on its head and big eyelashes, we can say that this character was a girl, whom we will call Nosik. Nosik seems to be a very friendly woman because despite all her strangeness, you can see a big smile on her face. I can also say that Nosik was an avid fashionista because you can see that in the real world, she took care of herself and tried to wear only fashionable and beautiful things. Maybe she has something to do with regatta, but I'm not sure. And what you think about it, write in the comments. You remember the child Pinkin, so besides him there was another child in the circus who came to the circus in the form of a very cute children's toy purple dinosaur. Judging by this, we can say that this character was the youngest of those who ever visited the Amazing Digital Circus. I would call him Dino, but his story can be directly related to Pinkin's because they are both kids who were probably brothers, but at some point their parents gave them a VR helmet and they both played with it. But unfortunately at some point something went wrong and they both got sucked into the damn circus. But I think the most interesting character that is no longer in the circus is a chess piece that looks a lot like Kinger. Let's call her Queenie. I, like many of my friends, think that this character disappeared a long time ago, because as Jax once said, Kinger is the oldest character in the circus. I think they played something with a VR helmet together and joined the circus together. And at first it wasn't that bad, but soon Queenie started going crazy and disappearing, which couldn't have affected Kinger. At first he wasn't so scared and strange and was just a normal circus character, but after he lost his wife, his life turned upside down and Kinger became what he is now. This is really a very sad story that shows how important our significant other is to us. And now I would like to tell you about the rooms with mannequins. In the previous video, I said that these are the rooms that are not inhabited at the moment, so they are being prepared for the future inhabitants of the circus. We never saw the mannequins themselves in the circus, but there are a lot of them in the restaurant where Kane and Bubble were eating, so they are in a separate place that has nothing to do with the Amazing Digital Circus, but all these mannequins exist for something. After some thought, I realized that each of the mannequins is a shell for a future circus resident. And as soon as a real person enters the circus, his or her body is immediately transferred into one of the mannequins for further existence in the circus. I'd also like to tell you about how the characters enter the digital circus and why they become that way. I think you all know that the entrance to the circus is through some kind of headset, but mostly it's a VR helmet. Once you put it on and get swept up in the game, you don't notice how you're being pulled into this amazing digital circus, but why don't they all look like people and are completely different from each other? Let's take Kinger as an example. By all appearances, he was a grown man who in real life loved to play chess. Then one day he bought a VR helmet and decided to install chess in it. He plays it all the time and soon finds himself in a digital circus in the guise of his favorite game, in this case, a chess piece. And that goes for all the characters. I hope you enjoyed this video and that you will tell your friends about it so that they, like you, will know everything that happens in the Amazing Digital Circus. Well, it's time for me to say good luck and goodbye.